here we are. And let me get this to, there we go. Investing in an ordinary brokerage account with after-tax dollars. In other words, we want to know what the tax benefits are of investing in a defined contribution plan. So our baseline will be, well, what's the tax situation when you just invest your money in an ordinary brokerage account? And so let's take a look at this person here. I guess it's Corey, it says here. His salary is $90,000. He pays FICA taxes of $68.85. He pays New Jersey state income tax, federal income tax, property tax. His after-tax income is $64,015. So he pays like nearly, $25,000 in a little over $25,000 in tax. And after his after-tax, after he pays all his tax, he has $64,000 left. From that $64,015, from that, he's going to take $6,000 out to invest in a Scottrade, well, that's TD Ameritrade now, but a Scottrade brokerage account. And so, and his salary, his securities are expected to yield 7.2%. So he picks out a portfolio of bonds and stock. Maybe it's a balanced fund that's heavy bonds, light on stock, and it's expected to yield 7.2% per year. And so in 45 years, what will he have? I'm just going to do the future value. I'm going to consume level contributions, and he'll have, that's 6,000 times the future value interest factor for an annuity, 1.82 million. When you invest outside of a qualified retirement account, in other words, there's no tax breaks here. It's just Corey investing in his online brokerage account. There's no employer matching, right? His employer didn't match that. There's no write-offs of the contributions. And so that's what we're really showing here. You're paying in with what we call after-tax dollars. His after-tax income is $64,015. We're paying in with after-tax dollars. So he's not getting any tax break here. He's not getting any matching or tax break. The dividends, capital gains, and interest year to year are also taxed, and I'm going to discuss that on the next slide. In other words, remember the doctrine of constructive receipt? If you make dividends, interest, and capital gains in an investment account, you have to pay tax even if you don't spend the money, even if you reinvest it in stocks and bonds. So, for example, in his mutual fund that he holds, IBM's shares had a gain for more than their cost. So there was a $5,000 gain. They were sold for more than their cost during the tax year. They were bought back in 2011. He collected $3,900 of bond interest during the year. He collected that much in dividends during the year. The total investment income is $10,115. He has to, he's working and investing this way. It's outside of a tax advantaged or a qualified plan. So year to year, he has to pay tax on the investment income that he earns. That's what the point is here. He must declare it and pay income tax on it. And that has the doctrine of constructive receipt. That's where that comes from. So when you invest on your own in an ordinary brokerage account, you pay income tax on the capital gains, interest, and dividends, even if you reinvest the funds. And again, that was the doctrine of constructive receipt. So I'm going to assume, I'm going to guess or estimate that 10% of Corey's portfolio balance goes to taxes. When you invest in an ordinary brokerage account, we call it tax leakage, that you have to sell off some of the securities or use some of the income to pay off your tax year to year. So I'm going to make his 7.2% yield. I'm going to take 10% off of it. I'm going to say it's going to be 90% of 7.2%. In other words, his yield is going to be 6.48%. So computing that, taking that into effect, what we call tax leakage, he's really going to have about 1.47 million, 1,470,000 at retirement when we take tax leakage into account. And that's about $350,000 lower than when we ignored tax leakage on the previous slide or two. So investing on his own, Corey's going to end up with $1.47 million at retirement. The upside of that, he doesn't have to worry about if he takes money out before 59 and a half, and there's no RMD, so there is an upside. Now I'm going to say Corey invests in a defined contribution plan instead of what we just looked at. First of all, it's before tax dollars. So we'll assume this plan has dollar for dollar matching as well. Corey's taxable income is now $84,000. So he's going to pay less in tax, right? He's going to declare and pay tax on $6,000 less income. His $6,000 contribution is excluded income, so his income tax is going to be lower. Well, that wasn't the case when he invested on his own. The $6,000 per year his employer contributes excluded as well. So in a sense, Corey's really getting $96,000 a year. His employer is paying him $90,000 a year salary plus $6,000 a year matched contribution into his retirement plan. So he's really getting $96,000 a year from his employer. How much is he paying tax on? $84,000. So $12,000 of income is not taxed. It's excluded income. Assuming Corey's in the 24% tax bracket, well, if he invests $6,000 into the plan, he's going to save 24% of that on his taxes because he's in the 24% bracket. So the calculation there shows you that it really costs Corey $4,560 a year. That's 76% of $6,000. 1 minus 0.24 is 0.76. 76% of $6,000 is $4,560. Out of pocket, when you net out the taxes, Corey's going to spend $4,560 this year to invest $12,000. Not bad. The dividends, capital gains, and interest are not taxed year to year. Well, okay, we got to remember that too. So the dividends, interest, and capital gains, we saw that on a couple slides ago. When you invest in a 401k plan, a qualified retirement plan, you don't pay tax year to year on your dividends, capital gains, and interest. It's tax deferred. That income is deferred. So what we have here is he's going to end up with a lot more money due to the matching and due to that there's no tax leakage. He's going to end up with $3.64 million. And we're not done yet. So much better than the $1.47 million. It's like more than double, right? That's the power of qualified investing, the matching and the tax break. It's really a tax breaks. One tax break is the money that goes into it is excluded income. The $6,000 contribution Corey makes and the $6,000 his employer makes. And the other one is the income in the account, dividends, interest, and capital gains are not taxed year to year. And that more than doubled his retirement nest egg. There's no tax leakage there. So I could figure out Corey's effective 401k plan yield. I take, what is he going to end up with? Was it $3.64 million? I put that in as a future value. It's going to cost him $6,000 to put money in, but he's going to save 24% of that on his taxes. So if I look back here, didn't I have like $4,560 is his contribution if you net out the tax savings he's going to have. So I put that here under payment. And 45 years until he retires. And I calculated the effective yield. So the tax deductibility of the contribution, sex exclusion, and the fact that the dividends, interest, and capital gains are not taxed year to year, so those two tax breaks, plus the matching, has converted his 7.2% yield. He's investing in securities that yield 7.2%. It's a very safe portfolio. It's really converted or leveraged. Leverage means magnified. We've through the tax breaks and the matching, we've magnified Corey's 7.2% return into a 10.33% return. So qualified investing really pays off. When someone comes to us as a client, it's ethical. We need to go and say, look, before I do anything for you, we have to be sure. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that we take full advantage of any kind of plan you have at work. And if you're self-employed, we're going to first set up like a plan that's tax advantaged before we do anything else. That's where we would start. Corey's distributions, if all goes according to plan, Corey will have $3.64 million in 45 years. None of that money's been taxed yet. Remember, the amount he put in was excluded. The amount his employer put in was excluded. And the dividends, interest, and capital gains tax year to year, that never was taxed. It was excluded. So none of the money, none of the $3.64 million Corey put in has been taxed yet. The key word yet. Corey's annual $6,000 contributions were not taxed. His employer's contributions were not taxed. The annual investment gain year to year, that was not taxed. Corey's distributions during retirement, this is a key thing to understand. During retirement, when he pulls money out, he's going to be taxed at ordinary income. So if he pulls out $100,000 the first year, he declares that as ordinary income, just like he's still working. So the tax rate's the same that you would have on interest on debt or on working at a job. In other words, there's no break for dividends and on stock. Remember, dividends and capital gains were taxed at lower rates. Not when you're investing in a 401k plan. You certainly have a lot. Your income is deferred, so your tax is deferred. But when you pull money out, regardless of what you hold as a security, a stock, a municipal bond, a regular bond, gold, you're going to pull out money when you're retired, and you're going to declare it as ordinary income, just like when we did taxes in Chapter 2 or Worksheet 2. It's declared as ordinary income. Same way as salary was taxed during his career, the same way corporate bond interest is taxed. That's how it's going to be taxed. There's no tax breaks on municipal bonds or dividends on stock. So what we say is 401k plans are tax deferred. Instead of paying a tax when you're 25 and 26 on the income that you're earning in the plan, it's all deferred until you're older, presumably when you're in a lower tax bracket. And so we'll end there. And so that was the 3 videos for this week. And you probably want to listen to them over and over and take notes, use up the full 70 minutes of our class time. We are on track to finish all the course. Like, we're not going to have to skip anything. And so I'll talk to you on Wednesday.